సార్ ఈ డిఓ ఖమ్మం వస్తుంది. మీరు డిఓ ఖమ్మం సెర్చ్ చేసుకోండి, నేను పంపిస్తాను.
స్టార్ట్ అయింది కదా,
ఒక్కటే నిమిషం సార్ చెప్తాను. ఓకే సార్ స్టార్ట్.
సోదర ఎస్జిటి ఉపాధ్యాయ మిత్రులందరికీ స్వాగతం. ఈ సెషన్లో మనము ఇంగ్లీష్ సంబంధించినటువంటి యొక్క అంశాల గురించి చర్చించుకుంటాము. ప్రధానంగా మనకున్నటువంటి క్లాస్ రూమ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ సంబంధించినటువంటి అంశాల పట్ల మనకు లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ జరిగినటువంటి నేషనల్ అచీవ్మెంట్ సర్వేకి సంబంధించినటువంటి అంశాలు దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని, ఎక్కడైతే పిల్లలు లెర్నింగ్ అవుట్కమ్స్ వెనుకబడ్డారో దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని ఆలోచన చేసినప్పుడు టీచర్లందరికీ కూడా కెపాసిటీ బిల్డింగ్ కోసం మనం కొన్ని ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ నిర్వహించాలని చెప్పి నిర్ణయించడం జరిగింది. దానిలో భాగంగా అదేవిధంగా కమిషనర్ గారు ఇచ్చినటువంటి యొక్క ఆదేశాల మేరకు అందరికీ కూడా టీచర్స్ కి కెపాసిటీ బిల్డింగ్ చేయాలనే ఉద్దేశంతో ఈ 8 రోజుల పాటు శిక్షణ కార్యక్రమాన్ని నిర్వర్తిస్తున్నాము. బహుశా అందరూ కూడా మీరు ఇంతకు ముందు ఐసీటీ సంబంధించినటువంటి యొక్క అంశాలు చూశారు. ప్రతిరోజు కూడా ఐసీటీ సంబంధించిన అంశాల తర్వాత ఇమీడియట్ గా మీరు డిఈఓ ఖమ్మం దానిలోకి వచ్చేటట్టు మీకు ప్రైమరీకి సంబంధించినటువంటి ఫస్ట్ 2 days ఇంగ్లీష్ సంబంధించినటువంటిది, నెక్స్ట్ 2 days సబ్జెక్ట్ వారిగా 2 రోజుల పాటు తెలుగు, ఇంగ్లీషు, మ్యాథ్స్, ఈవీఎస్ అంశాలు ఉంటాయి. వాటిలో మీకు అంతా కూడా మ్యాథ్స్ బేస్డ్ గా ఉన్నటువంటి ఒక లెర్నింగ్ అవుట్కమ్స్ దృష్టిలో పెట్టుకొని మనకు ట్రైనింగ్ సెషన్ ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. ఈ ట్రైనింగ్ సెషన్ ని మొత్తం కూడా దీంట్లో పాల్గొంటున్న వారు రిసోర్స్ పర్సన్స్ గా మీకు క్లాస్ రూమ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ 2nd to 5th క్లాస్ సంబంధించినటువంటి అంశాల గురించి మాట్లాడడానికి మనకు డైట్ లో ఖమ్మం డైట్ లో పనిచేస్తున్నటువంటి ఈఎల్టీసీ ట్యూటర్ మనకు ఉన్నారు. సార్ వైజికే మూర్తి గారు మాట్లాడతారు. అదేవిధంగా వారికి సపోర్ట్ చేయడానికి చేస్తూ కో ప్యానలిస్ట్ గా మనకు రవికళ సూర్యాపేట ఎస్సిటి మూతే మండలంలో పనిచేసేటువంటి టీచర్ ఉన్నారు. అదేవిధంగా ఈ సెషన్ మొత్తము నిర్వహణకి రవి గారు ఎంఈఓ మూతే సూర్యాపేట మండలం సంబంధించిన వారిని సెషన్ కంట్రోల్ చేస్తూ మొత్తము నిర్వహించాల్సిన కోరుతూ వైజికే మూర్తి గారిని సెషన్ స్టార్ట్ చేయాల్సిందిగా కోరుతున్నాను.
ఓకే, థ్యాంక్ యూ వెంకటరెడ్డి సార్ అండ్ ఆనరబుల్ డిఓ Suryapet and Khammam district and all the MEOs and resource persons and teachers, especially English teachers who are handling at the primary level. Good morning all of you. Welcome to this session on English for primary section. And we all know very well, due to the severe pandemic conditions, we have been little away from classroom practices for a long time, maybe from March onwards. And so this training program is going to, definitely is going to be a wake-up call for all of us. It is going to alert all of us to, get ready for the ensuing classroom teaching. And at the same time, today, I have seen a news or announcement by the government of Telangana that very soon we are going to have online classes on a large scale. So in these conditions, I think how are we going to gear up our efforts towards meeting the classroom needs and the aspirations of the parents and the students, and how are we, or how should we change our pattern of teaching? So in this connection, today I am here with you along with Mrs. Ravikala from Suryapet and MEO Kottapalli Venkateshwara garu from Vaira, and this is YGK Murthy, staff tutor at ELTC Diet Khammam, and also I am one of the state resource group members and also one of the textbook authors of 6th to 10th class. So today I am going to present before you the classroom transaction process for classes 2 to 5. So this is the topic, and in this topic let me share the screen for you. And friends, classroom transaction process for classes 2 to 5. Now, um, to open this topic, actually, we all know very well, we have taken a major pedagogic shift or major shift with regard to designing of the curriculum and textbooks, and also the classroom practices, especially approaches and methods of teaching English language, and also the assessment procedures, CC and all of them have taken a major shift. So in this backdrop, almost from 2012 onwards, we have been what we call using new textbooks. But unfortunately or fortunately, some of the teachers are not well equipped with the latest classroom practices, especially latest approach of teaching English language, especially in the constructivist pedagogy. So now I am going to present before you this lesson, how to transact a lesson from class 2 to class 5. So what procedures, what methods are to be, or what activities are to be taken up, what strategies are to be taken up, that are going to be discussed in this session. So actually we have only 45-minute session. I will try to complete as many issues as possible which are related to this classroom transaction process. So in this session, I am going to actually throw light on, yeah, I'll magnify it. So in this session, definitely at the end of this session, you will be able to know the major components of a unit, each unit. We all know very well there are 10 units in a lesson in your textbook, 8 units in your textbook, and each unit has certain components. What are they? We will know. Then the different stages in classroom transaction process. Then the role of the teacher and the learner in the classroom teaching process. Okay, in the process of teaching learning. Then the micro process or the steps in classroom transaction process of reading, especially we are taking up reading today. And finally, we will also know during this pandemic situation, if we have to confine ourselves to online teaching, or otherwise part of our teaching will go online, then how do we integrate the ICT in our classroom transaction process? So these are some of the outlines of my session. And now let us see the components of a unit. We all know very well. Let me show you the textbook. This is the textbook for class 4, and this is the class 3 textbook. And you all know every lesson, class has a textbook, and every textbook has 8 units, and that 8 unit consists of certain components, certain parts, you can say. We can also say the modules. Actually, we have taken up the modular approach to teaching of English language, and that is why our textbook has been designed that way. Now, I am going to introduce. You all know very well, but I just trying to remind you about the components of the unit. There is a face sheet or there is a theme picture in every unit. And it means every unit opens with a theme picture or a face sheet. Then there is a narrative picture. Dear friends, all of you know, narrative picture is there in first, second, and third classes. But fourth and fifth classes, there is no narrative picture. So that has to be noticed by every English teacher at the primary level. Then there is a narrative. That narrative is given at the end of the textbook. So the purpose of narrative is to develop listening and speaking skills. Then next, reading component. So that is also called reading comprehension. Then we have a vocabulary. We have a component called grammar. Then we have a writing. We have so many writing discourses, no? So all those discourses are given under writing part. And we have projects. So these are the major components of each unit. Every unit, almost every unit has got these components. Okay, now let us go forward. Now, stages in classroom transaction process. We all know very well when we are talking about the classroom transaction process, whether it is a classroom transaction process of reading or classroom transaction process of grammar, vocabulary, projects, writing, whatever it is, there should be 3 stages. First stage is called pre-reading. Second is reading. Third one is post-reading. So now, especially, for example, under pre-reading. So before we, take up reading, we undertake certain reading, pre-reading activities. They will come in the form of brainstorming, concept mapping, picture interaction, or trigger interaction, etc. will be there. And we have a main part, reading. And then post-reading also will come under that. So next, I will take you to the next main heading, that is classroom transaction process of reading. Friends, I just would like to draw your attention to one of the important points. As I said earlier, we are following the modular approach. Modular approach in the sense, as I have introduced all the modules before you, we take up the classroom transaction for reading, for transacting vocabulary, for grammar, for transacting writing, transacting various other components including projects and all. So now we cannot follow the same transaction process for each and every module. It means the transaction process that we follow, for face sheet interaction is slightly different from the transaction process of vocabulary and grammar. In the same way, the classroom transaction process that we follow for reading is entirely different from the classroom transaction process of writing. So in this way, we have different classroom transaction process, which are slightly different from one another. So that has to be understood by each and every teacher. So in this connection, in today's session, I would like to focus completely on the transaction of reading by taking a lesson from your 4th class textbook. Okay, now let us go forward. So I think all of you are looking at this thing. There are different areas to be covered in a classroom transaction process of reading. So before going to take up the reading process, first of all, we should take up the trigger picture, or that is also called face sheet, or that is also called theme picture. So a face sheet has to be taken up first. Then we will go for the interaction on the narrative. Narrative also I have given. And then we'll go for the, based on the narrative picture, we will, sufficiently emotionally charge the children on listening and responding activities based on the narrative. Then we will go for the reading. So these are the points that we have to note down. Actually, those of you who are watching this, program have to be ready with a pen and paper wherever it is required. Please note down the important points. I am really fortunate to, address thousands of students in Suryapet and Khammam districts. And also, I came to know that even Yadadri teachers are also joining today. So all of you, please be ready. Now, let us look at the interaction based on the face sheet. As I told you, pre-reading activities. So our classroom teaching, classroom transaction begins with the face sheet interaction. We all know very well, from 3rd onwards, from 4th and 5th classes, we have face sheet. And 2nd and 3rd, we have what do you call face sheet and also narrative picture, and the face sheet picture or trigger picture, and this one also narrative picture. So whatever it is, we have to take up the discussion or interaction on the picture. So actually nowadays in the present pedagogy, in the present text, sir. Sorry for the interruption, maybe due to some technical snag. So fine. Now, so before going to take up the reading process, the pre-reading activity that we have to take up is a face sheet interaction. We all know very well in the present textbooks, a wonderful innovation has happened, that is the introduction of beautiful pictures under face sheet, and all, not only under face sheet, but there are, every textbook is full of colorful pictures and realistic pictures. So we will take up, as a teacher, first of all we greet the children as soon as we enter the class. We greet the children appropriately, and then we will take up the face sheet interaction. And you all know very well, face sheet interaction is one of the very, very effective techniques of emotionally charging the children and sensitizing the children towards the main reading passage. So previously we called it motivation, and now this motivation has come up very, very scientifically. Now we are motivating the children in a very, very scientific manner by activating the, what do you call, ideas in them, by activating the vocabulary in them. So now the face sheet interaction has several purposes. See, for example, you show the picture and ask a few questions. Ask a few questions like, what do you see in the picture? What do you see in the picture? And why is the man running after the cat? Next, what else would you see on the picture? And for example, why do you think the man said, "You dirty cat"? That is there in the picture, but not in the what do you call, in your textbook it is given. In the bubble, actually, in the bubble, this bubble, the man says, "You dirty cat." So why did the man say, "You dirty cat"? If you were in the man's position, how would you react? So these are the questions the teachers has to make, and I think this is very much familiar to all the teachers. And this is not the first time that I am, teaching you. You are, and most of the serious practitioners of classroom have been following this. And when you look at all these questions are very, very typical in nature. These are also called analytical questions. Why these are called analytical questions? Because we, make the children think analytically. They take reasons. They take, various causes. So that is why when they think, when they think in a what do you call, logical way, in a scientific way, their thought process will be triggered. So when their thought process will be triggered, automatically language will come up. Because language and thought are interlinked. Without thought, there is no language. That is why our entire exercise is to activate the human mind or the child's mind. That is why through this picture interaction, we will try to sensitize the children towards main reading passage. That is number one objective. Objective number two is to capitalize on the emotive aspects of the children's thinking. Children, when children are, when children happen to look at the picture, they emotionally connect with the picture. They emotionally connect and think about various sentiments which are related to, superstitions. At the same time, how when a black cat comes in front of us, when we embark on a journey, we all feel that it is a bad omen and all. So all these thoughts will be triggered in their mind, and then they start thinking. So that is why they become emotionally charged. So now the teacher will definitely exploit that thinking process. And then the most important thing is, by exploiting the emotional aspects of the child, the teacher will be able to produce the language. So the child will be able to come out with a number of ideas, number of opinions. So this is how language can be produced. Tons of language can be produced with the help of a picture. You know, trigger picture, you can face sheet can be a video, can be a slogan, can be a quotation, can be anything. You know, but that should be potential enough to make the children emotionally charged. That's enough. So anything can be used as a trigger picture. So in this way, trigger has so much purpose. It can make the children produce the language. And then, yes. Yes. So this is the way we enable the children. Now, I just would like to, how can we integrate ICT in face sheet interaction? We all know that is what is the purpose of these training programs. Okay. Now, let us see. Please watch this video, which is taken from the real classroom situation. Please watch this video. Okay, I'll connect to the video once again.
మూర్తి సార్
Yes.
మీరు వీడియో ప్లే చేస్తున్నారు కానీ వీడియో డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదు సార్. ఓన్లీ సౌండ్ మాత్రం వస్తుంది. వీడియో డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదు. సౌండ్ మాత్రం వస్తుంది. వీడియో సౌండ్ మాత్రం వస్తుంది.
డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదా మీకు?
ఆ వీడియో డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదు సార్.
ఓకే, 1 సెకండ్. నాకు మళ్ళీ స్క్రీన్ ఇవ్వండి. సార్.
ఇస్తున్నాను సార్, ఇస్తున్నాను. ఓకే సార్, ఇచ్చాను. సార్ ఇచ్చాను మీకు.
రావట్లేదు సార్.
మీరు అది క్యాన్సిల్ చేయండి ఫస్ట్. ఇప్పుడు డిస్ప్లే పీపీటీ క్యాన్సిల్ చేయండి.
ఓకే.
సార్ పోలేదు వీడియో.
వస్తుందా?
వీడియో ప్లే కాలే, ఇంకా
కాలేదా?
కాలేదు సార్. మీరు పీపీటీలో ఉన్నారు కదా?
పీపీటీలో ఉన్నా.
మరి ఈ పీపీటీ క్యాన్సిల్ చేయండి. మీరు ఏ వీడియోలో అయితే డిస్ప్లే చేయాలనుకుంటారో దాన్ని తీసుకురండి.
ఓకే. ఓకేనా సార్?
లేదు సార్, డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదు. సౌండ్ మాత్రమే వస్తుంది సార్, వీడియో డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదు.
ఓకే. రావట్లేదు సార్?
రావట్లేదు మేడం, రావట్లేదు సార్. రవికళ మేడం, మీకు ఏమైనా కనపడుతుందా?
లేదు సార్,
డిస్ప్లే కావట్లేదు.
రావట్లేదు సార్.
ఇప్పుడు కనిపిస్తుందా?
లేదు, రావట్లేదు సార్.
సార్ వీడియో రావట్లేదు.
రావట్లేదు.
వీడియో రావట్లేదు.
సార్ మీరు వీడియో అయితే
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ అని చెప్పేసి, గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ పల్లవి మేడం.
Okay. Anyway, it's not being played. Sir, is it visible now?
Not playing, not
visible,
playing.
sir.
Is it visible?
It is visible, sir, but not playing, sir.
Okay, no problem. That's not. There is some technical problem. That's not properly being played.
Yes, Kannagatla.
Okay, no problem. Here, the point I would like to convey through this video is that the point is the teacher has to interact with the children by showing the picture, and he should, for example, in classroom, face-to-face classroom interaction, the teacher has to. Yeah. In a face-to-face classroom situation, the teacher has to write the questions on one chart, or otherwise, he can write the questions on the. Sir, am I audible to you? Ravikala madam?
Yes, sir, audible, sir.
Sir, yes, sir, I mean, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, it is audible, sir.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir, you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. You can see the blackboard. On the blackboard, I have displayed a picture which is taken from the textbook, and then there are some questions on the chart. Yes. So the questions are like this. Actually, these questions I want to show you, and the same questions were displayed in the classroom. And the teacher has to ask the questions one by one and interact with the children, elicit responses from the children, and write the responses, write the appropriate response on the blackboard. So this is the process of conducting a face sheet interaction. So show the picture, ask the questions, and before asking also you have to display the questions on the either blackboard either on the blackboard or on the chart, and associate those questions with the textbook, with the what do you call responses, so that the children will be able to associate the question with the response. So in this way, picture interaction has to take place. That is what the teacher has done in the video. Unfortunately, I am not able to play it. Okay. So now, after face sheet interaction, the teacher has almost sufficiently, what do you call, charged them emotionally, and now they are ready to take on the, what do you call, the reading task. So again, so when we take up the reading activity, so in reading activity, we should again see a picture. Before going to the reading process, we have a narrative also. So this narrative actually is given in your textbook at the end of the textbook. So now what you are going to do as a teacher, what you are going to do is, actually here, I just would like to remind you that there is a picture in pre-reading activities. There is a picture in the, here in first, second and third classes, there is a narrative picture also, but in fourth and fifth classes, there is no narrative picture. And if you think it is important, you can use a picture from outside also, because picture is an effective source of, what do you call, emotionally charging the children. That is why you can make use of a picture or a video or anything else. Fine. Now, after that, let us take up the narrative. In narrative, we have been given a narrative at the end of the textbook. So the teacher has to narrate the story given at the end of the textbook. For example, here there is a what do you call, narrative given. This narrative has to be taken up before taking up the main reading passage. So the name of the passage is, or the narrative is, The Unlucky Face. Here, while narrating this, the teacher can follow a certain procedure. Number one, the teacher has to either read on their own, or they can narrate on their own without seeing the textbook. So here, the purpose is to make the children listen to you, understand, and respond to your questions. So there should be an interaction on the narrative also. So here, it's a very, very important thing. So listening and speaking skills you are promoting with the help of the narrative. So that is why your reading should be very, very appropriate. So you have to use your tone, proper intonation, proper pronunciation, proper, what do you call, pausing, and use facial expressions and gestures in order to make the children, make out meaning out of the textbook or out of their listening input. Now let us see, for example, let me read it for you. Hira-chan, how many times have I told you not to come out early in the morning? Shouted Sundar. Why? What happened? Asked Hira-chan, puzzled. Yesterday, my brother saw your face early in the morning and fell ill. He couldn't eat anything throughout the day. How am I responsible for that? Aren't you? Wait, I'll complain to the king. What for? To ask the king to order you not to show your face to people in the early morning. This is the, what do you call, a kind of model reading of the narrative. So you have to give sufficient pause. You should maintain proper intonation and proper facial expressions and body language. And in this way, you will try to, what do you call, make the children understand the input that is narrative. So that is why utmost care has to be taken. A lot of practice has to be done by the teacher before presenting the narrative. Just I am showing you, a model, right? So in this way, a teacher has to narrate the story 3 or 4 times. One time is not necessary, not enough. 3 or 4 times, a teacher has to take up the narrative. So first time you read, second time you read, third time here and there you stop and interact with the children. First you may talk about the characters in the story and the objects in the story, the events in the story. That way you will ask. For example, who are the characters in the story? What happened to Hira-chan? And who was the other person in the story? So like that, you will talk about some of the characters. Just introduce those topics. And in this way, by the time you read 3 or 4 times, the children will be able to familiarize themselves with the story, the characters, the events, and various other objects and the setting, background setting, everything they will be familiarized. They'll be able to familiarize themselves and will be able to respond to your questions. So after that, the teacher has to take up this interaction based on the questions. You can make any number of questions out of the narrative. For example, is Sundar right in cursing Hirachan? Which of the following qualities describe Sundar? Okay, you have given options like friendly or proud. Do you also believe in some superstitions? If yes, narrate at least one to your classmates. In this way, you can add many more questions. Okay, so I am just showing a model. You can add a number of questions like this. For example, who are the characters in the story, and who is Sundar, who is Hirachan, what is the problem that Sundar is creating. So in this way, what happened to Sundar's brother after seeing Hirachan's face? In this way, you can pour in number of questions and sufficiently interact with the children and emotionally charge them, make them ready for the main reading passage. So in this way, two pre-reading activities we have taken up. Number one, the picture interaction or the face sheet interaction, and the second one is interaction based on the narrative or narrative based interaction. So with these two activities, the children are now ready to take up the micro process of reading, because reading is a very, very challenging task. Okay, the moment immediately after entering the class itself, without making any sensitization, if you ask the children to read the passage, they will not be able to read, or they don't show any interest in reading also. Because reading is a process of decoding the meaning out of the some symbols. So that cannot be done very, very easily. As I have already told you, we have taken a major shift in the pedagogy, in the teaching methodology. So teaching methodology says, we are shifting towards constructivist pedagogy. Constructivism believes that the child has the ability to construct his own language, and language is already inbuilt in him. So it is the responsibility of the teacher to activate that vocabulary already hidden in him, the language in him. So that is why. So you have to make the children undergo this entire process of the reading. So here, that is why there are various steps involved in it. Number one, individual reading. Number two, collaborative reading. 3, scaffolded reading. And then reading aloud by the teacher, reading aloud by the learners, and then follows post-reading. And in today's session, I am not going to take up this post-reading, and I will confine my discussion to only this one. So, yes. Now, these are the processes. And before going to take up the main reading passage, for example, in this 4th class textbook, I have taken the lesson, for example, last lesson, all of you might have seen it, that is the unlucky face. You can see in the textbook. So in this, the unlucky face, here actually this is the face sheet, and then this is the reading passage, and here comes the exercise on the narrative, and narrative is given at the end of the textbook. So in this way, we will take up that. So that is why before going to take up this reading passage, we will take up the picture, and this is the picture I have displayed on the screen. And text-based picture will further sensitize the children. And most of the teachers, what I have observed during my classroom monitoring, they are ignoring this picture. This picture is very, very potential, actually, very scientifically designed. This has a purpose. The teachers have to realize this. So that is why transact this picture also, just like the way you have transacted face sheet. So that is why this also has some purpose. Please realize that. And now, based on the picture, text-based picture. Now, what do you see in the picture? Who are the persons in the picture? What do you think about the place? Who do you think is the person in the green dress? Why was the person brought to the king? What could be the crime he committed? What do you think is going to happen in the story? See the picture. For example, where is this story happening? and who is the person in the green dress, and at the same time you can see other things like, who are the other two persons, and why was the person brought to the king, and what is the king going to do. In this way, you will ask questions and ask the children to make intelligent predictions about the lesson they are going to read, because children have the ability to think, predict, anticipate, guess, and that scope has to be provided in the classroom by the teacher. And for this only, I am suggesting you to take up this text-based picture interaction. Now,
Hello, Murthy sir.
yes.
Sir, you should conclude within 5 minutes, sir, I think.
5 minutes, only 5 minutes? Okay.
Yes, sir, we have 5 minutes only.
Okay, I'll try to complete.
The time is 12:05, sir, now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, we are supposed to complete by 12:30. All right. So just 5 more minutes, right?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay. So there lived a merchant called Hirachand. This is the passage. So after conducting the discussion on the text-based picture interaction, we will go for the main reading passage. So now comes the passage I am displaying here, the passage taken from the textbook. And now, this is the way we will conduct the individual reading. Please take a look at this. Yeah, thank you. Now,
Hello.
మేడం వినపడుతుంది.
Sir, Murthy sir, your voice is not audible and video is not coming. Hello.
Murthy sir, that video is not clear. Murthy sir. Sir, video is not clear.
మేడం
Hello, sir. Srinu sir.
మేడం ఓకే కన్క్లూడ్ చేద్దామని. రవి సార్ ఉంది కదా, రవి గారు సార్, ఎంఈఓ పెన్బాడ్ రవి సార్, మీరు మాట్లాడండి సార్.
సార్ మూర్తి సార్ కంక్లూడ్ చేస్తారా?
సార్ వాయిస్ వినపడట్లేదు.
అవునుగా సార్ క్లోజ్ చేద్దామా, అంటే టైం అయిపోయిందా?
ఓకే సార్, క్లోజ్ చేద్దాం. మీరు చివరిగా ఇవ్వండి.
ఓకే. ఈరోజు మనం ఈ క్లాస్ రూమ్ ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ ప్రాసెస్ గురించి ఖమ్మం నుంచి వైజీకే మూర్తి గారు చక్కగా వివరించారు. సరే, కొంత టెక్నికల్ ఇబ్బంది జరిగినప్పటికీ ముఖ్యంగా ప్రీ రీడింగ్, రీడింగ్ అండ్ పోస్ట్ రీడింగ్ మీద కొంత వాళ్ళు పీపీటీ ద్వారా వివరించాలనే ప్రయత్నం చేసిరు. కాకపోతే ఆ వీడియో మనకు డిస్ప్లే కాలేదు. ఎనీహౌ, నెక్స్ట్ క్లాస్కు కొంచెం పీపీటీలు అన్నీ కూడా టెక్నికల్ సపోర్ట్ చేస్తున్నటువంటి డిఓ ఆఫీస్ నుంచి శ్రీనివాస్ గారు, అలాగే సబ్జెక్టు కోఆర్డినేటర్గా ఉన్నటువంటి శ్రీధర్ రెడ్డి గారు, అలాగే మేడం రవికళ గారికి, వైజికే మూర్తి గారికి ధన్యవాదాలు తెలియజేస్తూ, రేపు జరగబోయే కార్యక్రమానికి సేమ్ మళ్ళీ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్గా కొంత అడ్వాన్స్గా ఉండాలని కూడా తెలియజేస్తూ ఈ కార్యక్రమాన్ని రవికళ మేడం క్లోజ్ చేద్దామా?
ఎస్ సార్, చేసేద్దాం సార్.
ఓకే మేడం, థ్యాంక్ యూ.
ఓకే సార్,
థ్యాంక్ యూ.